Now I've done some ahead of time. They're all dry. They only take 5 minutes to dry. So here's one that's nice and dry. And I'll put this one in the vise and get ready to tie my materials on. If you've gone too far on the glue and you don't have any room to tie your next materials on, use a utility knife or X-Acto knife and carve a little bit off. You do need that room to tie on the next line. So now I'm using my 8/0 thread here and I'm tying it on. Next to tie on is the miniature sparkle peacock braid or something similar. It's just a little bit of a small green braid material. I know there is a metallic braid out there that's peacock also, and I think that would work just fine. You want to tie this on. This will form the shell or the shell back of the fly. Next, I'll use the Spanflex. The Spanflex material. It's a light rubbery material that has a lot of movement, and this is going to be used for the legs of the fly. I'll simply fold it in half, cut it, and then from that I'll cut that in half again, and that'll be used for my legs. Around the middle of the material, loosely tie it on and then tighten it up after a couple turns. And then tie it off. Once turning it over, make sure the shell back is pulled back. Again, on the other side, I'll take the leg and loosely tie this one off. And again, a couple more wraps. And I'll tie it off. Next, I'll use the rooster saddle, black, and that'll give the legs. I'll pick out a piece to match the size of the hook we're using. And trim off a little bit on the end to give you something to tie onto or use as an anchor. I use this on many flies, same technique. A few wraps and then tying it off. Make sure those legs stay ahead, and then wrap the saddle, and this will gives you a little bit more movement, and it also keeps the rubber legs separated. 2 or 3 wraps is all you need.
And they're all behind the legs and the bead?
It's between the legs. So
Okay,
some of the legs go forward and some back. Is what we're after. So you want to kind of keep those separate. Keep the legs separate. Here, I'll go one more wrap just to get a little more. Wrap it around here. And then tie it off. Tie it behind the bead. Now I'll just trim off the feather down. Keep that for the next fly. Leveling it off, then I'll take the green peacock shell back and I'll pull it ahead like that. And a couple wraps around. I'll make sure it's nice and straight. The legs in place. The shell, back of the shell, or the shell back will helps hold everything. And it also gives the natural little bit of flash of green that often I've seen in the local beetles running around. Trim this off. And then tie it off. Put a wrap there. A little dab of head cement. And whip finish. And trim off your thread. Now you notice that the legs are not quite right. So what we'll do is we'll take them and push them together, trim them off. And same on the back.
Say about the length of the hook?
A little longer.
Okay.
And trim them off. And there you have it. The finished red-headed beetle pattern, which is used as a terrestrial wet fly. I fish this anywhere not far from shore where I can cast the fly out and let it slowly sink, and keeping my line tight using a sink tip or slow intermediate line.